Light. But the only thing about that, the rules kept changing. 1 minute we're fighting for a mandatory, 1 minute we've got a say in the officials, and then all the rules change. So day by day we liked that fight even less. And at the same time, Dillian Whyte, who was positioned very well, number 1 with the WBC, 2 with the WBO, 4 with the IBF, he was... his company, Matchroom, had lost the purse bid to fight Pulev, and he found himself getting 25% of that purse, having to go off to Bulgaria to fight him. And so he was starting to like that fight even less. And with the great business that we did with Matchroom and also with Adam Smith from Sky leading up to the Parker-Joshua fight, we were able to put this fight together, this pay-per-view fight with Dillian Whyte and Joseph Parker in 3 days. And, you know, which is an amazing piece of business considering it took us 3 months to put the Joshua fight together.
Yeah, it seems like that financially this fight will be bigger than the Jennings fight by far.
Tenfold.
Yeah.
Look, you know, how many times do you go from fighting in front of 80,000 people where you're sharing in the revenue and sales that go to 140 countries, you know, you lose your world title, have your first loss, and then you come back with a pay-per-view fight, fighting a fighter of the caliber of Dillian Whyte. You know, look, this is, you know, we can regain everything practically bar the world title that we lost with one fight. And, you know, this is a great piece of business for us. There is no doubt about that. Hey, would have I liked an extra couple of weeks in training camp? Yes, I would have. You know, we've got a 7-week camp. Joe's just flown 34 hours of flying in 3 days. He went from Auckland, New Zealand to London, had 1 day in London announcing the fight, and then flew here. He got off the plane, I brought him straight into the gym. Look, you know, I just was doing some interviews in the UK this morning, and I said, look, Dillian Whyte and his team will be happy to hear that, you know, Joe has not got his legs under him at the moment. He's had a horrible week. He hasn't slept properly. You know, his body clock is a real mess. But I know next week's going to be so much better. And the exciting thing and the real pleasing thing for me as his coach is, you know, after coming back from London when we announced the Anthony Joshua fight, Joseph Parker was 120 kilograms. We had 11 weeks in camp, and he fought at 107, which was about 236.5 pounds. Mm-hmm. Joseph Parker has come into camp. He arrived here getting off the plane on Friday weighing 110 kilograms, which makes me very, very happy. We would never ever have been able to take this 7-week challenge if he had come back at 120.
Right.
So, you know, I think Joe's very hungry at the moment. He's very motivated for this fight. When this opportunity presented itself, we addressed it with Joe straight away, and Joe said, more or less immediately, I want this fight. I want the biggest fight with the biggest names. He said, I don't want any. I know I could have taken a couple of easy fights after that Joshua fight just to get a couple of wins and get myself going again. He said, I don't want that. You know, I want the biggest fights against the biggest names. While we think that, you know, Dillian Whyte is one of the biggest names in world boxing at the moment. He was sitting there in a very solid position to, he was on an immediate list to fight Deontay Wilder. He was also, Eddie had also said that, you know, they were very keen on fighting Joshua again with him. So, you know, we aim to take all that momentum away from him.
Okay, what can you say about, you mentioned how highly rated he is with all the organizations. Is this going to be an eliminator in any, I know not the WBC, but any of the other belts?
Well, I'll tell you what, right at the moment, we are talking to the sanctioning bodies. Mm-hmm. We know that Dillian Whyte is the WBC silver champion. We know that silver belt holds a lot of prestige with the WBC. We want to fight for that. We also know that there are some belts up for grabs with the WBO. You know, the WBO must remember, you know, Joseph Parker's had a lot of fights for them. He's their former world champion. He defended the title twice. You know, he fought in, you know, one of the biggest fights over the last 8 years in the heavyweight division. So, you know, we're hoping that that we'll get some good solid business done around this fight.
Kevin, is this fight mentally going to be too hot on the heels of the Joshua fight to come off, like you said, one of the biggest heavyweight title fights of the last decade, to turn around and then fight a top 5 guy? Is this too quick a turnaround physically or mentally for Joe?
Well, I think time will tell, but I can promise you this, that you know, this is the fight that Joseph Parker wanted. This is redemption in one fight. We turn around the Anthony Joshua loss in one fight, and like, we're up against a very physical, a very aggressive, a very strong and powerful Dillian Whyte, a guy who likes to engage, a guy who likes to come forward. We hope that his particular style of engaging will play right into our hands. You know, this is not like fighting Anthony Joshua, fighting a guy who's 6'6" with an 84-inch reach. Both these guys will be standing in the middle zone and trading. And I can promise you, when they start trading, Joseph Parker's punches are going to land before Dillian Whyte's punches land.